The other thing is that I am now more or less complete with the list of the groups, as you have seen. I was up till 1 o'clock because some of you were so generous. You didn't give any information to me till like 12 at night and expecting me to put you in the right group. Nonetheless, because I'm such a nice person, I try to help you and put you in the group with your friends. But in order to do that, now I've got a couple of ideas I want to throw at you. Once you've got to know, hopefully there would be maybe 1 or 2 iterations by the end of today. So you would know your groups, your teammates, and of course for coursework 1, you wouldn't be working with your peers in your group, but it would be interesting if you start already developing ideas. So I encourage you to be social media active. I mean, I've heard that a couple of you already set up Facebook groups. I would also encourage you, if you promote yourself, have a Twitter account, try to sort of like be completely engaged, look at your other colleagues' Twitter or Facebook information and see how you're comparing. Because this could be a platform for you, it's like a playground. You could really experience the real life competition. So if you're working for a digital technology company, then it is always important to keep an eye on the competition. Alright, so that what I encourage you to do. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to start with the lecture, which I didn't complete yesterday, but I have actually put up a couple of more ideas around it. So, if you remember, to refresh your memory, this is what I call as the knowledge pyramid. Most of you know it till actually the 3 tiers. So, you have got bits and bytes, and these are the form of the data. The data by itself, it doesn't mean anything. So, if you are not actually familiar with one language, let's say Swahili, and somebody speaks to you in Swahili, you wouldn't know what he's talking about. You have to have some basic idea about the subject or a language before you can understand that, okay? So the data that is there, we transform it into information. But in order to understand the information, you have to be devised with some sort of receptive skill set that you can understand that. So, if you have never learned a programming language and somebody presents you with a set of code, you wouldn't be able to see if it is written in Python or was written in C or Java. You only would know that if you are actually have at least got a high level introduction to the subject area. This is exactly the same in data science, and particularly what I call it as applied data science. What do you understand from the terminology applied data science? Anyone? Come on. You're all MSc students. Great.
I did a definition a while back, which was turning raw data into something you could make a decision with.
Absolutely. But that's not just excluded the decision-making process. So, if you just look at this pyramid, so the data, then it's information, then it's knowledge. Then it's knowledge. So it means that you are learning the programming language, then you would be able to distinguish at the high level. This is, for example, C++, this is Java, this is Python. But you only can actually apply that if you have got hands-on experience service and skills in order to be able to create something new. So this is really, if you like, a very, very transferable concept that you can apply to anything you do. So an intelligent person is not a person who knows everything. An intelligent person is a person who actually listens, understands the question, and goes and finds us exactly the right answer to that particular question. So if you are able to distinguish how you would be able to solve a problem, then you are really worth a lot. Okay? So I'll put up this picture. I presented it more than 3 years ago to some businessmen. That was long before the idea of big data and data science, everything came about. I've changed it slightly. So if you look at this picture, this is supposed to be really giving you the message. So what do you see here? You see on the left-hand side, there's a lot of data. Okay, that can be anything. If you apply this data technologies and the skills that you have got, you will be able to provide some sort of services. So let's think about something again like Uber. Uber is a very simple app. But the reason that it is particularly successful because it is scalable and it's easily accessible. So when you are trying to make a product or a service or an app, you have to see what sort of market you're looking at. So if you're looking at a sort of a not very intelligent app, but it can serve many, many people, you are in business. If you can come with a system, sorry guys, if you are talking, if you come with, let's say, an engine, a very smart analytic engine, that is extendable, it can be put in different, something like now Google talks about the TensorFlow, because what it is it's just a black box where people can actually use it and make their own products. So you are concentrating on one particular product, but this product is solid enough and it's robust enough and it's extendable enough that everybody can use it and make their own apps. So in order to think about this, you have to be very, very realistic about your own capabilities. And when it comes to actually doing your teamwork, that's absolutely important. The reason that I actually put people from different skills, from different pathways into these teams, because you would have hopefully different perspectives of the same problem. And this is like an interdisciplinary methodology to solve a problem. Okay? So well, what is important is that, I think I'm going to move this one here. Okay. So, now, following the previous page, you can see that the common denominator for everything to do is really fit in these 4 different steps. So, and I said that if you regard your product, your solution, or your service, most probably 99% of the time addresses one of these 3 things. You either solve a problem, or make a product or a service, or tell a narrative. would be able to come with a solution if you have got something in mind. Obviously, you have to have your value proposition. You have to start looking at what it is missing. A majority of the time, people come with solutions or with a problem which is very close to their heart, or something which is personal, or something which is they need. So, I don't know, there are these pages like Moms Online or Grannies Online or something like that. Most of these come about when there is a person who just learned, oh, you know, this is a tool, I can make a website. And then they start to playing around it, and then they come with a product, because it addresses their own needs. And when that addresses their own needs, it addresses the needs of people like themselves. So what I'm saying is that you do not need to be too over clever, try to find a very, very special app. The best thing is to start, to say charity starts at home. Start looking at what is it that me and my friends might not necessarily need that can be scalable. Because there's room for expansion for everyone. Okay? But once you've got your value proposition, then you just have got no other way apart from following up these 4 steps. But in some cases, the focus might be on, let's say, visualization, sometimes can be on analyze and prediction, and that sort of thing. The 2 last parameters are variables, but the first and the second are absolutely crucial. So, you have to collect your data, and you have to be able to clean it. It means making sense out of it, putting it in an order. So I can't really emphasize how important it is cleaning and sorting out the data sets that you are using. Okay, so this is very, very important. And I'm really trying to push this, that if you have got something like Google Refine or what was called Open Refine, whatever it is, you should be able to master it. Because if the data set is all rubbish, you are not going to get what you want out of it. And coming back to what I said yesterday, if you are comparing that to data mining, if somebody, a conman, sells you diamond mine in Namibia, but it's actually, it's just it's a piece of crater. So you might blindly go and buy this place, start digging, but there is no diamond in this area. So what you have to do is you have to actually have your initial understanding, if the data that I'm collecting, the data I'm going for, is it really what I want? So if you are looking at making something for Department of Transport, you don't go to NHS looking for that. You have to make a lot of planning. Once you do the planning, then you start cleaning your data. But that is absolutely crucial, and this is fundamental for everything else you do. Is the message true? Yes? Good. Okay, so for whatever reason you collect the data sets, you put them together, and then these are the ways that you can actually process the data, interact with it, represent it, and then if your app is something which is to do with, let's say, a prediction engine. I think I mentioned about the GDP yesterday of the prediction, the football from Premier. I think some of the guys should be actually in this cohort, but they were not there yesterday, and they're not there today. I think you can talk to these guys, because what they were doing is they were actually collecting a lot of open data from various different sources, from the gambling sources, from BBC sports sources and everything. And these are live streams, which comes and turns into this data set, which they have to clean it, they have to normalize it, and then they should be able to put it into the prediction engine, and then come with some sort of a prediction in order to provide the application. Of course, there's a lot part to this, which I'm going to talk about it in the next couple of weeks. It's about the usability of an app. What sells an app is the interface. Okay? So if you have got a website and this website looks really, really awful, nobody's going to use that. And there's lots of sort of like human computer interaction and the way that you recognize different type of fonts and what sort of different colors mean to different type of cultural group and that sort of thing is absolutely crucial. So when you are looking at creating your app or your system, you have to first of all start thinking about all these steps. Okay? So I'm really going to quickly go through the data cleaning and data processing, and then hopefully I can give you a little break and then ask Ash to introduce you to the hardware in that box. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So very quickly, anybody from yesterday who was at least more awake than I am? Anything about OpenRefine? What can you remember about that? Why do we need to have something like a cleaning platform or tool? What are the problems? Why can't, yeah?
People are stupid and don't know how to spell.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Have I missed something? Thank you. Anybody else? I really like this. Yeah?
Same language, but different ways of saying the same thing.
That's right, yeah. So the American and the British, I mean, as well as the, for example, called color. And color. What else? Time. Yes. Who was that? Yeah? What do you mean by time? Yeah. I introduced it. What can you remember?
In British we say days, then months.
That's right. So if you say in Britain, that means what?
February 3rd.
3rd of Feb 2017. And this is in the UK. And in America,
2nd March.
it is 2nd of March 2017. So these are the discrepancies. And now I mentioned also something like there was one other thing which is very common. I really like this. Great. So for example, VP or Vice President. Okay? So you should be able to think of like here.
Football would say that England and Wales are different countries, but if your model might not, so could we categorize things in different ways?
Absolutely. I mean, my knowledge of Welsh, I'm afraid, is even more limited than my English.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it is actually the way that very different, even in the UK. Absolutely right. May use different. Would they use different? I mean, anybody who's Welsh?
Well, no, what I mean is that football, the English team has a football team, the Welsh team has a football team. But if you're talking about government, then it's one government.
That's
so
right.
Different groups, different applications will route the same information into different categories.
Well, I mean, in America, if you talk about football, it's an American football, which is, they call football soccer, of course. So, you go and get yourself a ticket for the Super Bowl, which you think, is the best American football game, but it's actually different, isn't it? And I don't ever know the difference between football and baseball. Anyway, so these are the problems. So, multiple representation. So these are the stuff that you have to look for. And sometimes, actually, if you are having a spreadsheet, you might have also some of the operations have done in them, like the summation. And that is also something that you have to look for, okay? Because once you start sort of visualizing the stuff, start really evaluating it and cleaning it, I talked about the heat map concept yesterday, that, obviously, if you have got a row or a column which has got the summation of all the data in it, you suddenly see huge discrepancies between your data once you actually visualize them. So you have to be very, very careful on doing the data cleaning and sorting out your data sets. Okay, the other thing is that duplicate records. I know that, for example, last night at 1 o'clock, I put someone twice in the same group.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
And then I managed to actually remove somebody else. I regard myself as a pretty accurate person, but this is the crops up when you've got over 100 students, and they've got similar names, and anyway, in your cases, I cannot really blame you for having similar names. What I'm saying is that, this is very normal. So if there's some sort of public servant or civil servant sitting, going through a set of data, all sorts of things could be in there, which is completely irrelevant. I think one of you, is it George? Is he there today? No. He asked me about different scales. There were two different scales, within one data set. And presumably, I think one of them was a linear scale, the other one was a logarithmic scale, because the data were so different, the values were so different. So you have to actually, before you start going through your data set, I recommend that you sit down with your mates and think about all the things which could go wrong with the data set. Write it down, and when you actually try to collect the data, go through all the problems to make sure that you have actually addressed them, at least on the first order. Okay, spelling mistakes, where do they come from, and that sort of thing. So there's also things about different numerical scales. Obviously I mentioned about the logarithmic, but as I said, there was also the empirical and the metric. And I mentioned to you yesterday that NASA lost huge $1 million because the design was in metric, but the engineers used empirical. And then obviously, if you lose something like $100 billion of a satellite or scientific mission, it's a very, very difficult thing to sort of try to justify yourself. So, sorry, I used the empirical values rather than metric. But it happens. But it should not happen to you, because if it happens to you once, then you would never be able to actually recover from early disasters of that sort of scale. You would have a lot of disasters and you would have a lot of failures. But it has to be based on external factors. You should not be the cause of that, okay? Because if you are causing a failure, you would get blamed, especially at the early ages, starting of your career, whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? So, yes, it's the numerical range is also very important. Again, that is affecting your visualization. It's very easy to determine okay, we are using a range of data sets, you know, from 0 to 100, but it really depends on what you are trying to represent. Okay, that is another point of errors, and of course, spelling errors are very common. Okay, so I'll put this transparency on this lecture on the online. I've changed it a bit this morning, so I'm going to update it. But you know the two sets of data that I have put up. So what you have to do is you have to download this, or you have to access it to start doing some cleaning exercise the next week with Dorota. Okay, just very quickly going through the data processing that you need to use are obviously OpenRefine, and also it's the OpenDataSoft. These are the two ones that I would recommend. Of course, if you are much more into this field, and I mean, I only use things which I find out it suits me, and for the next 3 or 4 years, up to a degree, it's stable and it answers the problems that I have to solve. But if you are particularly interested in technology and you want to continuously improve on the existing and the new coming, the tools which are available, obviously go to GitHub and, you know, put your own development, then, you know, I'm a bit different. I'm a bit older and a bit more conservative. Okay, so the data processing tools, as I said, you need to look at for the validation and the cleaning of the data set. And very quickly, OpenRefine is an IDT transformation tool, and it also can use for visualization and manipulation. It gets all these different types of formats. I'm going to leave that to Ash and Chris to obviously following up with this presentation yesterday. But I mean, these are all the stuff that you can churning into the OpenRefine. And this is a picture I downloaded from the Wikipedia. So what it effectively does is it has got a number of different features and interfaces that can use various types of solutions that you want. And it goes back to the first picture I showed you regarding these 4 silos of the technology, or even the first one, that you have to have the data cleaning and then churn it out to some sort of a solution in order to give you a product or a service. Okay, just you go and download OpenRefine. It would be running on your machine. What you have to understand is you cannot use, actually OpenRefine is not a very good tool for new data sets. So it means that it's only literally, you have to have data sets which you go and collect and then put them together. Okay? Can anybody give me an example if you want to create a new data set? What sort of tools would you use? Anyone? Yeah, that's very good. What else? I mean, effectively, if you save any type of content you got in different formats, you would generate it. So content creation is another process by which you would actually generate the data. So that would be the bottom 2 tiers of our pyramid. So you get the data and then you transfer it into the information and potentially into the content. What is it? I think I showed you did I show you a picture? I think I'm going to go back to that again. About, I don't think. You remember in the first lecture I gave you, I had something like a little put in data sets and different objects, and then you come out with the content of science, okay? So, it's the way that you cement these things. You use that with different tools in order to make a concept. Okay? And a concept by itself, it actually provides part of the narrative. So if you are, let's say, the content, let's say an MP3 music clip is the content. You would consume it in order to increase into your knowledge or your experience. Okay? So you would actually have to consume all the digital content one or another in order to get value out of it. So again, this is a process. It's the engineering part of it that you have to consider. It is the whole narrative together. Okay. So, I'm actually, I think, just stopping here, because probably now we ask, I think, shall we ask Ash to take over, or have you got any questions up to this point? I think what I really wanted to give you a message was about the cleaning of the data, manipulating the data, cleaning the data. That is absolutely crucial. The two data sets, 2-3 data sets I'm going to put up on Monday. You should bring your computers with you and try to sort of see how much you would be able to clean the data. And that is also helping you to complete your coursework 1, which is primarily data cleaning visualization, I think. All right? Okay. So I think I stop, and then without too much ado, I ask Ash to take it. Maybe somewhere through the lecture we'll have a break.
While actually setting up, I did cautionary tales here. Your picture of all those things going on the things of meat grinders and grinding up information. A long time ago, when we were in the first version of the Open Data Service, I wrote a tool which was designed to do exactly that. It took all these different spreadsheets and things, and it chopped them up into little pieces so we could put them back together into RDS. And I got a really good name for this tool, and I had to Google everything. I just called it. So do you want to know what I called it? It's quite embarrassing to have to explain it to me. I called it Grinder. Apparently there's an app called Grinder as well. And I gave my first presentation to the full conference, and some people in the audience put their hands up. Are you sure you want to call this app?
找了一个人
Google Grinder
给咱们看意见呢。
Oh God.
昨天吗？
Yeah, always Google the name of your
就组队建那个 Facebook 的。
昨天发的。
This is called content ground.
这都翻2天去了。
Same concept.
Just don't put it
No, sorry.
这个是吧？
对，看着。
我们下课那个空的。
行啊。他说小组有人没讲。怎么这课文能挂条？
我觉得那个女的没有实际的东西。
笨的好。我觉得他说实际就奥利，真的。
对。奥利那是。
实打实的。
云的那个老师也还可以，是吧？那老师还行，那老师也还行，至少他有东西。对。 你今天早到几分钟呀？啊。你找到你的组织了吗？哎，要不你加到我们组来？
你们这是你的人吗？
有个老外不是要走吗？
他最好走，但是谁让走不走？人要不走怎么办？
我马上问一下。
你最好问一下。就问他你要走吗？
但我觉得我不能就是。
哦，你来走了，你就3个人了，那就行。
啊？
你们组是5。
我不知道那个钢琴那个他最后一组上面有一个人的人名是保护的，最低那个组就。
现在安迪名字也是在2个组里。
就是不知道是老师提考的，忘记了，我觉得现在还没定。
真的是有。
不是，是不是把名字搞错了？有可能，瞎整的。
首先第一人叫妈的，第二个呢应该没搞错，因为他一直在那组，他一直在那个组。但我不知道是老师怎么分的。
那个妈呢？他没有跟老师说老师不可能，
所以说要跟老师说，但我不知道说没说，然后老师回没回。
你要不问一下妈了吗？
问那个。
对。
你直接问你，哎，你上懂吗？
Yeah, I work with Chris in TICT, which is Technical Innovation and Development within my solution. I used to be a researcher in the waste group at ETS, so I did this stuff sort of like as research as it was becoming big, and now I do it for a living, which is very nice. So our job, well, that's sorry, I stole these slides from my last year's thing, so it's sort of like, you already know who Chris is, that's me, and let's start sort of email addresses, Twitter and everything, you know, feel free to tweet us, we are friendly. So, what do we actually do, what I actually do? My job is to collect open data from around the university, and the way we do that is to just basically hassle people. If nobody wants to do open data, they just want to get on with their jobs, so we can start stuff for you, and that's kind of how we work. Where we sit with Nice Solutions, that's where we sit with Nice Solutions. We sort of won lots of little accolades, and they generally like us and don't give us that much food, which is nice. So it's a nice way of sort of like keeping Nice Solutions on side. I'm sure you're all aware of Nice Solutions. Those guys who go around and fix the printers and stuff, or we're the guys that sort of want to do things that they wouldn't like. So let's start with cool stuff. I didn't open the tabs, did I? Let's see what can I help you very happy. Okay, so start. Come away, so. Right, so hopefully, at least some of you will be familiar with that website. That's the boring side, is where all the data lives. So if you go to data.soft.uk, all of the data starts there. So all the data we get from various different parts of the university, we put it on there in RDF format and any other format we can think of if people ask for them. You know, we have the organisational structure of the university, and a lot of people ask for a spreadsheet, even though it was already in CSV format, but they didn't know what CSV meant, so we just put it on there as a spreadsheet as well, and everybody was happy. So we just put the data up there because we want people to use it. Now that's what quite a lot of places do, and the government do it, other universities do it, and just bunging spreadsheets on a website is not the best way to get people to use open data. Nigel Shadbolt some years ago said if you build it they will come. Well, this isn't really building it. He was kind of right, but we kind of disagree with him a little bit. You just stick data on the web and not everybody wants to use it. So we kind of had this idea that we should actually start making the data useful. So it's not just spreadsheets on this website. We sort of so you can sort of click through and find information on other buildings, building on
There you go, that's what we are now. So there's a page for every building. And all this is generated in real time from the data, so it's awesome. Bigger font. Can you do that? There we go. Yeah, so this is just a demo. I'm just showing you that it exists. So we've got information on all the different buildings, teaching rooms, and this building is. So, yeah, then we've got chalkboard and services in this building. We've got printers, no workstations or anything, but the energy usage for this building, we really care about that kind of thing. All the data that we have is just dumped on this website for anyone to use. That's fine if you're into statistics and stuff, but not really useful if you're a normal person. So our job is, well, we decided a while back to make this our job. We decided to actually make this data useful. So I was sort of sat in with a colleague of mine, Pat McSweeney, and one day he was talking to timetabling. And I don't know if you ever spoke to timetabling. They talk in a completely different language, temporally, to the rest of the world. So we would say the 1st of July 2017, they would say the Wednesday of week 12 or whatever. So we decided that there was no easy way of working out some sort of comparison. So if you now go to what week is it, we created a way of doing it. So we basically had this data for term times and everything, so we thought, why don't we use it to make that simple little website just saying, that's what we do at the minute, and if you want, you can talk it on GitHub, you can get more information, you can get it in different formats, XML, JSON, and our favourite RDF, which Chris spoke about last week. It goes further. We have, my laptop and then auto completed. Right, this we kind of got into trouble for. We had data on the rooms, as you saw in the previous sort of screenshot. We got data on the rooms. We also got when they're in use. So we know that this room is currently in use. There's a lecture book in here, so you can use it. We thought, well, you can use that to sort of make a little tool to just, say I wanted a room tomorrow at various different times that had, I don't know, maybe piano or whatever you want. Yeah, it's never do a live demo, people. Yeah, apparently there's no rooms available. I don't believe that for a minute. I think it's just broken. But anyway, yeah, that worked for a while. Okay. Yeah, apparently there aren't that many rooms with pianos. Yeah, so if you want a room between 3 and 4 tomorrow afternoon, those are all the rooms that are currently free. So yeah, you can't book rooms for this. This is just literally what we got from the read-only data that we get from timetabling. Timetabling actually called us about this because we made this. Timetabling don't have a similar app, so people found this and started using it. And even though I basically wrote it in about an afternoon, everybody now thinks it's the official way to book rooms in the university, and it isn't. So timetabling kind of got hold of us and said, "Oi, what are you doing?" So we had to sort of go to them with our tails between our legs and say, "Yeah, sorry, we sort of did this," and yeah, that was a fun meeting. Anyway,
the worst one, which is Open University has open data about all of their courses, and it was so well designed a website that it was outranking the official sign up to all our courses on Google. So they got someone to the Vice Chancellor. Their open data service. Like, what are you doing? You're costing us business. Because they're so well linked, and every page links perfectly to every other page. Google goes, oh, what a nice linked site. Everything gets massive backlinks.
the other data that we had was that I had already kept from my solutions, because we are our solutions, is which workstations are currently available around the campus. That's all live, so that's Google Maps and sort of all the places where you can use a computer, and the number of actually how many computers are available at this very minute in time. So you can sort of click through and find where these computers are, so if you need computers to do coursework or anything. So we made this, and this is all based on the open data we were already publishing. We put it on the web in export format and everything. Open data, or linked data is wonderful because you can, whereas we've got it in this RDF format, we can just link it with data from other places and not worry about horrible things like database schemes and whatnot. So the next thing we did was that, and that's basically like bus information from around the university and the city, in fact. So this was an interesting story. We originally got the data from Romance, because we're really, really up for this open data thing. Then the council decided to change their supplier, and they got it from a company called JWI, is it? I don't know what it was called. And they kind of made it very clear that they didn't care about making data open, so the lifetime broke for about 2 years before we finally managed to get hold of Unilink and get hold of the data that they were putting on their app, on their website, and say, can we just use that? And they were like, yeah, sure, no problem. So now we've got like fast time again on a university-controlled website, which is nice. And if you put all of that together, you get this, our latest and greatest thing. So that's maps.sutton, which we've been working with lots of people around the university, the people that do the print maps, so we sort of, it's our own custom version of Google Maps. It looks like the university print maps, and you can zoom into buildings and see the rooms inside the buildings and click on and get pictures and click through to the open data service about that room. And there's lots of different layers as well, so you can find the workstations that I just mentioned, put those on the map and tell you where they are. All from one place. Catering. Oh yes, catering like us. We won an award with that. So you get to make food stuff about the theatre. That's what's current. So
That's what you'd be having for lunch if you went to the lecture.
yeah, sorry guys. We've got places of religious worship around the university. That's quite new. Around the city, in fact. Which is student services do that for us. We've got the waste points, recycling points, and of course we've got all the bus routes. So yeah, again, this is my bus time. So this is what Stephen was talking about earlier, right? So you have this data, you have to make it as useful as you possibly can, and as easy to use as you possibly can. We test this on phones, tablets, and everything. So hopefully, if you go to map.sutton.co.uk on your smartphone, it should just work, and you'll be able to scroll around as easy as you can on Google Maps. And it's entirely university-centric. Oh yeah, if you want to do open data, we've got satellite view as well, and it's actually better than Google, because we get it from the Oceanography Centre. They do river surveys, so anywhere near the river, which is most of campus, you can zoom in quite a long way and see sort of tops of cars and stuff, which is quite nice. So that's our map thing. That's what we actually do. Let's go back to the slides. Right, so how do we actually do it? Well, we have sort of two publishing frameworks. This is what the users see. So we've got all these little data sources here, and they all get pulled into the open data service, and users are hopefully happy at the end of it. In reality, the data sources are basically spreadsheets, because everyone knows how to use a spreadsheet. We found out that you can't try and force people to work the way you work. You have to adopt to the way they work. Catering, we sort of say to them, can you update this form or do this for us? And they're like, no, we just use a spreadsheet. Can we just read a spreadsheet? And let's be honest, it's really easy to read a spreadsheet using a computer program. So we may as well just do that, convert it to the format that we want, and then you can do what you like with it. So it goes into our triple store. There's the grinder that Chris mentioned. It gets converted, and the hedgehog there is mine. It's a piece of software that we wrote called Hedgehog. There's probably better tools that do what it does out there now, but at the time, we're talking 4 or 5 years ago now, there was literally nothing that did this. And basically what Hedgehog does, it generates data sets. So the source code is all on GitHub, and I'll put links up later if you really want to have a play with it. But the idea is it's just like it's into a different Threshold does is it goes to the original source, downloads the spreadsheet, connects to the database, does whatever it needs to do, and then just spits out triples, which gets put into the triple store, and it basically grind it. And yeah, happy use at the end of it. So that's these slides will be sent them to Sophie and she can put them on the web or something. So those are the addresses where you can find all of our software. HL Grinder. Graphite is the PHP library that Chris wrote that basically takes in an IDF document and allows you to manipulate it as you do jQuery. It's really nice. It's an object-based sort of thing. So if you're a PHP programmer, and not many people are these days, but if you are, then that's, in my opinion, the best way to wrangle triples. Alicorn is another one of Chris'. Well, it's based on something I wrote. The Open Data website was just a sort of like one-size-fits-all program that I wrote. It was designed for data.com, which turns triples into web pages, and Chris kind of like improved it and made it more sort of like generic, so you could basically just point it at a triple store and it would just turn into a website in very few clicks, which is quite nice. Analytics, right, how do we measure success? We can't. Comms don't like the fact that we can't. We don't really mind that much. Open data is an interesting thing because by its very definition you can't really measure how much it's being used. It's kind of like trying to track down all the lost Doctor Who episodes. You have no idea where they are and there's no central registry or anything. So it's like, we can put our data on the web, somebody else could call it regularly, or they could just download a copy and go and write their own app or whatever. That's one of the sad things about open data is the fact that you literally can't tell who's using it. But we have some hints. These are basically the analysis of things that we use. We've got somebody complains with breaks. We find that if the map goes down, immediately I get a phone call saying, it's broken, that's good, we know somebody's using it, because people are complaining with breaks, that's a good thing. It gets hacked, that's an interesting one. Chris actually created a bunch of joke data sets a few years back with the intention of just trolling semantic web search engines. It was sort of like he had a data set that asserts everybody called Dave in the world is actually the same person, for example. It's all completely pointless, but it's something you really do have to worry about. That's going to happen one day. People are going to start putting spam on the web. People are going to start poisoning data with stupid things, and they're going to try and hack data sources, especially as data becomes more important. At the minute, I don't know of any sort of ways of hacking triple stores. That doesn't mean they don't exist. It's just a case of people haven't tried because they're not that popular yet. So, as things get more popular, they become greater targets. You'll wonder why there's, more viruses that target Windows machines than Macs, for example. It's not necessarily because Windows is more or less secure than a Mac operating system. It's just that there are more Windows machines. So why would you target those instead of the sort of smaller share? The other one is Winds of War, and where we get to sort of say how great we are, because we've actually won 2 awards for our open data stuff. We won, Chris went to the 2012 Times Higher Education Awards for innovation in it was ICT innovation in universities. So we won that, and I went up to London for the Crossset Catering Awards, which was really surreal. I know absolutely nothing about catering or hospitality or anything. There I was, stood on the stage wearing a suit in front of 200 catering professionals congratulating me on my hard work. But basically we just we made an open data pipeline for catering. So if you see there's a screen in the menu on the staff club. That will get pulled from the open data. The menus that they've written around the place, they're all generated automatically from open data. And the only thing they have to do is keep the spreadsheet up to date, which I really like.
President?
Yeah, it was actually Paul Sinner, the Cinnamon from the Chase. Who's a really nice guy. Very good. Right, okay. So,
这课堂里张老师在这聊天了。
I want to make sure that I'm just calculating normal registration for this thing. I want to
课下了还是？
啊？
两节。
没有没有没有，
啊。
左边站起来那个。
走了，他不是这组的。啊？他们另外一组，他加到另外一组了。
对呀。
我看老师说。
麦了不在那儿吗？
啊是啊。
你问了他吗？
在左边是吗？
埋了。
很好看的。
麻了。
然后我就发邮件跟老师说，我发给我们的那个在12个之类的。
Are your team fixed?
那才从啊没有到12个。
也。
然后那个人把自己现在是把12个里面发。
那哥们也没回我呀。
对呀。哎，大包，
这怎么清理啊？那这是怎么清理啊，大哥？这是什么呀？这是？他这个拿过来我看一下。
一键清理怎么的？
这是 Google 的那个 refine。
对。
把它数据导出来就是这种。
Already existing groups that have the accommodation, okay? And you have time till end of March to tell me, you know,
这手机打开我还能看得到，这个打开完全就傻逼了。是 PD 是 RDF 打出的吗？CSV 啊。CSV 格式的这个数据，都是给的那个。你这个知道是啥不？这个没什么没毛病啊。你 CSV 格式的就是按逗号分割的，但是你这个地方没割开，你看到没？它这个是应该一个逗号是一个列，一个逗号一个列。这应该是很多个列，你现在这些还在一行里面，还在一个格子里面没有分开，没有把它分裂开，所以说我们这要干的活没有满意的。就是说你现在这个数据啊，它这应该是一行，这个也是一行，但是呢，那个 CSV 的是按逗号标准的，逗号应该是一个把它分割符就把这种分开它应该是你这个数据这导进去怎么导进去的？就这样嘛，就双击发嘛，你下载的那是吧？然后一点开它就弹出一个网页，现在怎么突然不弹出网页了？